another movie review. Today I am reviewing the movie The Simpsons. Yes, that is correct. The Simpsons movie. So, the movie's been around for a while. This movie is hilarious. If you love The Simpsons, then you're in the right place for this movie review. If you love watching cartoons that are created by Matt Groening, then you're in the right place too, because, he did create The Simpsons and other shows too, but today we're talking about the movie. So, as you all know, The Simpsons, they live in Springfield. You got Marge, you got Homer, you got Lisa, Bart, and you got Maggie. Now, as it goes in this movie, it starts off as a typical thing where they are just doing their normal day. They're doing stuff, and Homer is trying to, they're at church actually. Come to think of it, actually, as it goes, they're going to church, and Homer always wants to worship God in his own way, as at home or on his deathbed and praying as hard as possible, which is completely foolish. But that's what he likes to do. So they get to church and everyone is silent as the grave because they can hear them. And finally, Reverend Lovejoy stands up and says, "Hey, does anybody want to like say something and all this?" And of course, Ned Flanders, the churchy kind of guy, is like, "Oh, me, I want to confess about something. Confess about saying something really nice and all this." And so he says his piece, and then next thing you know, you got Grandpa Simpson, who is going crazy, acting weird, and he's like, the horrible things are gonna happen, twisted tails, 1,000 eyes, beware, yada yada yada, ipa. And you're wondering, well, what the hell is he talking about? He's a crazy old man. And you find out that, Homer wraps his father, Grandpa Simpson, in a rug, and he's like, "Hey, we got a free rug, and we're going to get pancakes." And so they go and get pancakes, leave Grandpa in the car with the window rolled down, and that's it. And they all eat their breakfast as it goes. So you fast forward to the part where, you fast forward a little bit, and people have been dumping so much crap into Lake Springfield that there's a huge problem with it. The water is so toxic that it's unfreaking believable. Really unfreaking believable how toxic it is, that you could drop a piece of trash in there, and next thing you know, it's going to just boom, explode. It's so toxic. And so the lake is very, very toxic. So, they put up barriers and stuff like that to stop from people going in. And at some point in time, Homer is reshingling the roof. And he more or less gets his hammer shoved in his eye, because he's like, steady, boom, right in the eye. And Bart's laughing, and they're having fun. And so Homer says, "Oh, I want you to go climb the TV antenna." And he goes, and he's like, "Okay." Well, he's like, "Oh, earthquake," shaking it, and then Bart falls off and he rolls down, and he's like, "Aftershock" with the rain gutters. And all that, and Ned, he's always like, you shouldn't be doing that because this is full of crap, and you don't want your boy to be paralyzed and stuff like that. And so they all tell him to shut up. So finally, they're playing Truth and Dare, and Homer finally dares Bart to go and skateboard down to Krusty Burger from their house, but naked. And so, Homer's like, if you don't do it every morning, I'm going to wake up and say, "Good morning, chicken." And on your wedding, I'll say, "Bawk, bawk, bawk, bawk." And Homer's like, "Bah!" Like he's shocked as can be, because Bart's going down the road naked as can be. And, you got Seymour's mother, who, it's not really his mother, but Seymour's mother, who's like, "Hey, don't be looking where I'm pointing," and all this. And you got Ralph saying, "I'm gay now," because he saw Bart naked. And you got kids smoking and wondering what's going on. And they say, Bart's always saying, "Well, I don't want people to see my doodly, like my noodle and all." And of course, as they go, they block it off as much as possible until he goes through hedges, and then it shows it. And as it goes, he finally gets to the point where he's like almost at Krusty Burger, and the police are chasing him by saying, you stop because you can't be doing what you're doing. And you got Lou who fires his gun and it hits the skateboard, and Bart goes flying onto the wall, like onto the glass of Krusty Burger, and Ned Flanders is like saying to his kids, okay, don't forget to say thank you for this bountiful, and he's like, penis, and as he goes, and all the kids and Rod and Todd are like, bountiful penis, and all this, and it's hilarious. So as it goes, you fast forward to that Homer finally gets a pig, and as he gets this pig, he's like, well, you can't kill the pig and all this. So he uses the pig for different things by like trying different hairstyles on him, and then doing Spider Pig, and that's where you get the song Spider Pig. Spider Pig does whatever a spider can. Okay, yeah. And Marge is so pissed that she has to clean up his mess and all this stuff. And Lisa meets Colin, a nice guy who cares about the environment and everything else, and is really smart. And so she falls in love with him. And later, Marge is like wondering, okay, so what are you doing with the pig's droppings and all this, like his leavings? And he's like, oh, I'll show you. So Homer shows Marge, and he's like, yeah, put it in a silo. And he's like, yeah. And Marge is like, well, he filled it up in 2 days. And Homer is like, well, I helped some, and all this. And so as it goes, so Homer has to go and take the silo over to a place to get rid of it. And as he gets rid of it, he gets a call about donuts, and so he goes and he dumps it into the lake that, as I told you before, that has been blocked off, so no one can dump anything in there. And he dumps it in there, and the friggin' lake goes nuclear. I mean, literally, it's like evil and all this. And you find an animal is chasing a squirrel, and the squirrel jumps into the lake, and next thing you know, it's got a bunch of eyes and crazy with sharp teeth. Well, he's been genetically mutated because of the lake. And so as it goes, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's the president, who is played by Wolf Castle. And so he's like, I am here to lead, not to read. So he picks one of the 5 options, and they put a big fat dome sucking in Springfield into there, where they got no fresh air. They really get nothing from there. And the way they make sure that Springfield is not on the map is by just removing it from the GPS by saying, to your next right, there is nothing. And there is nothing. And so they're trying to figure out how to get out of there, and they find out that Maggie is able to go through a sinkhole. But they find out that Homer is responsible for this, for dumping his waste, well, the pig's waste, into the water. And so they all blame him, and they're trying to find out where he lives, and they're all the mob is walking in the opposite direction. He's like, hey, look at those idiots walking in the wrong direction. So they turn around, they find him, and what they want to do is they really want to hang Homer and his family. So they try to break in, and they finally get them, because Homer is in the car with his wife and his kids, and they're backing up, and they get the car. So they start bringing it to the back of the house, where there's the giant sinkhole, and there are 5 nooses there waiting for the family. So they all get across except for Homer, which, of course, Homer's an idiot and always gets himself stuck one way or another. And so he gets himself stuck on the noose, and everyone's like poking him with pitchforks and stuff like that, and he's trying to talk, and they don't care. They just don't care. So they use the bus that Otto drives to try to get the tree to move down so that they can get everyone off. And so Maggie's pointing over to the sandbox where the giant sinkhole is, and Marge is like, no, it's not time to play right now. It's not. And so Maggie jumps in and disappears, and Marge is like, oh, that's how she got through. So Marge is like, hey kids, follow me. They go through, and they get out, and Homer finally gets out of his noose, and he's ready to go. And the factor is he gets stuck in the sinkhole, as usual, because he's a fat tub of lard. So he gets stuck, and they have to, so they're like, oh, let's claw his head. So they claw his head. He finally gets out of the sinkhole. Next thing you know, everything is going into this sinkhole. It just gets bigger and bigger. The car goes, the house goes, and then it just topples over what's left of the house. And they're like, yeah, whatever. It's done with. They're gone. And so now they're trying to find the fugitives that left Springfield, which are the Simpsons. And so Homer has a crazy idea that he's like, well, you know, I need you to do this with me, because there's only one time in life that you say, hey, I really need your help. Could you do this with me? And Marge is supposed to say yes, but she really doesn't want to, so she says yes. So they travel to Alaska, but they don't know how they're going to get there. So they figure out that this man is giving away his truck if you can go around in this ball of death with a motorcycle. So the first time Homer goes and fails. He removes the kickstand and he falls. The second time he goes up part way and he falls again. Third one, he gets up to the top and falls. And the guy's like, you know, I love watching you fall so much that I'm gonna give you one more. And so before he goes, Lisa's like, when you get to the top, that's when you have to keep going. You have to crank it more. And he's like, well, that's the scariest. So he goes and he cranks it up as he's going, cranks it right when he gets to the top of it and goes around, and he makes it. So they head to Alaska. They get $1,000 because they are in Alaska, as it goes, because they say we love ravaging the natural beauty from the oil. So they give everyone $1,000 as it goes. And so they live there for some time. And finally they find out that Springfield is going to be, boom, exploded, going to be a new Grand Canyon as it goes. And so Marge, Lisa, and Maggie, and Bart, they all go and try to save Springfield. They get captured because the NSA, the National Security Association, finds out where they are on the train because of a robotic conductor. And they find them in Seattle. So this guy, who's the like CEO, the director of the EPA, says, you know, we got you, I've noticed you. And so they send them back into Springfield, where Homer is wondering what he should do about this because Marge left with the kids. And so Homer goes and tries to find them and finds a lady who he calls the big boob lady. Literally, she's got big boobs. And so she's like, well, you need to have an epiphany, and if you don't have an epiphany, you will forever be alone. And so they're doing deep throat singing, as it's called, like hey, hey, and all this stuff and stuff like that. And he finally is having an epiphany because his head gets bigger and explodes and all this. And finally he gets to a bunch of trees in the epiphany, and they start taking his body parts, like separating them from his body, and then his face, and he's like, screw this, who cares, like, you know, I don't give a crap anymore about this. Without my family, I'm just nothing. And he realizes it's that, and so they put his face back to his head, and they're like, okay, and now there's more, like, what did you learn more? That to save myself, I gotta save Springfield, and I gotta care about other people, yada yada yada. And they're all happy, shaking hands, and that's as it goes. So Homer goes to Springfield to try to save them because, lo and behold, Homer doesn't know that there is a bomb that's going to go off in 15 minutes in Springfield, because the director of EPA puts it right in there to explode the town to make the Grand Canyon. Well, the new Grand Canyon. And so Homer finds a way to get into it by going to the supply closet of the army, and there's a jetpack, and he goes for what but crazy glue. I'm like, are you that stupid, Homer? Come on. You don't get stinking super glue. That's stupid. You get the jetpack, of course, because realistically, if you think about it, to climb up that big glass there, it's got to take a couple of hours, and by the time he gets there, there's like 9 minutes and some odd seconds left. And so people are like finally climbing up the rope to get to the fresh air and everything, and birds and stuff like that. And Homer's pile shooting down the rope, and is screwing everyone again with the bomb in the midst of the town. And so Homer's trying to figure out how he's not going to screw up anymore. And so he figures out that he has to deal with the bomb, because the factor is he finds the epiphany tree, which he thinks is an epiphany tree, because he's running to Marge and it smacks him in the face. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And next thing you know, you see a leaf blowing, which ironically can't happen because there's no air except for the very top of the dome, which I don't think would hit the bottom. And so it points the way to the dome of that, like the hole, to shoot the bomb through the hole. And so he's like, well, how am I going to do that? And next thing you know, you see a ray of light hit the motorcycle. So he gets the motorcycle, he gets Bart, because Bart loves holding bombs and stuff like that. And so they go and they are going up the glass dome to shoot the bomb in. And finally Marge is like, just shoot the freaking bomb. And so Bart throws the bomb and it's bouncing around like it would be on a basketball net, like the basketball hoop, and it's just bouncing around. And they're like, oh, and it stops. And they're like, is it going to tip forward into the dome, or is it going to go backwards? And it falls backwards, of course. And next thing you know, the bomb goes off and the glass is shattering like crazy. And they're going down the dome, Homer and Bart, and they hit a big piece of glass. They get to the sign that says Springfield, and then they get to Springfield Gorge, and they're going down and across, and you think they're gonna die because they're falling down. When Bart finds his slingshot, uses it and pulls them to safety, and Homer saves the town. But the thing is that at the end, you got Marge and Homer, who are on the motorcycle with Maggie, which seems cuckoo. But it seems like Maggie is driving the motorcycle, or is unsupervised, in the sense of that not held by Marge because she's holding on to Homer, and Maggie's holding on to the glass that's on the front of the motorcycle. And it just seems really unlogical that this really does happen, but it does. And they just drive the motorcycle into the forest finally, and the town is saved. But it's a hilarious movie to watch. So if you enjoyed watching this movie review of the Simpsons movie, then please hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, or if you're still new, well, if you're new to this, then please subscribe below. And don't forget, if you aren't new, then please share this with your friends, family, and all your social medias, so that people can see this awesome review of the Simpsons movie that I love the most. And remember, enjoy watching tons and tons of movies, and don't forget to always check back for more reviews once a week, which I always do. Well, once a week, or at least, well, it's going to be almost every day. So stay tuned every day for a new movie review from Movie Reviews.